Patriots are back in the playoffs for the first time in 4 years. What do they got to do to get it done against the Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert? Let's break it down.
He's sacked, intercepted, into the end zone, touchdown, Patriots!
Welcome, everybody, to this week's playoff preview, Evan.
Playoffs?
Here we are. We made it. Long last. It's been a while since the Patriots have been here.
So long.
In the
We've
postseason.
been suffering for so long.
Long-suffering Patriots fans, you're back. But a tough matchup here against the Los Angeles Chargers, Evan. And I just got to start with Justin Herbert. I mean, he's struggled through. I don't want to say struggled. He's powered through this season, losing both of his tackles. You know, one of the most pressured, one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league. It's just the biggest question to me. It's the bottom line. Can the Patriots get pressure? You know, Harold Landry coming back, but can they get pressure and take Justin Herbert off of his game? And that feels like that's what could be the difference in this game.
Absolutely. The closer this game gets, the more that specific matchup seems to be on my mind of the Patriots defensive line against this Chargers offensive line. And when you have a weakness in a team like this in the playoffs, you need to make it a weakness and you really need to be able to exploit it. And I just listening to Mike Vrabel talk over the last couple months about our best players need to play well for us to win football games. So I'm looking right in the middle at Milton Williams and Christian Barmore. Those are the two guys that are on the big contracts, the big free agent signing and all that different stuff. And they've been great this year. But in order for the Patriots I wouldn't say they need to do this to win the game. They could win the games other ways. But in order for them to really have a good statement win on Sunday night, Barmore and Milton Williams need to wreck this game. They need to wreck it, and hopefully they do.
Yeah, simplest stat for me, Justin Herbert, 109.8. rating with no pressure, 67.1 QB rating when under pressure. And Patriots getting a little bit healthier this week. Harold Landry returned to practice on Wednesday. They've rested him for a couple weeks. Robert Spillane returned to practice. He was out last Friday. He came back Wednesday as well, so he's starting to stack a couple days. Still no sign of Kyrus Tonga. Love him for the run game, but you know, that to me, with four guys up front, with Harold Landry, Kayvon Chason, maybe a little sprinkling of Elijah Ponder, you know, can you get it done with those four guys? Because the number is similar against a blitz. Like, you don't really want to blitz Justin Herbert. You don't want to have to get to that point where you're not getting pressure with your front four. I think they've been pretty good this year in pressure. I don't want to say that they're great. I don't want to say they're terrible. I don't know how you feel about that. They've been okay. I think it's a lot of stunts. It's not a lot of one-on-one matchup winning. But that to me is really, can you get that pressure with those front four guys, one of whom is just coming back after not playing for a couple weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the biggest thing when you look at the splits and just in terms of Justin Herbert getting blitz, second in the league, passer rating against the blitz. Number one is, of course, our guy, Drake Maye. But that's the difference, right, is that it's got to be with four. You got to be creative up front in terms of the line games and the stunts that you're playing against this Chargers offensive line. That's where I would start. When I watch them on film, I do think they get confused. I do think that they struggle with scheme and with other things like that. You know, if you just kind of come at them one-on-one and you don't have a difference maker on the edge like a Max Crosby or a Micah Parsons or something like that, then I think you kind of are doing them a favor. Right. So I would really expect the Patriots to dial it up, mix it up, run a lot of games up front, try to get guys loose, try to get Barmore, Milton Williams setting picks on the inside and try to go about it that way. Because if you can get to Herbert, and I would also, dovetail that with stopping the run, if you can do those two things and really control the line of scrimmage defensively and then put some points on the board offensively, now you're going to get Herbert into a situation where he's dropping back 40, 45, 50 times. And that's where the Patriots want to be. They want to live in a game where they have the lead and they're forcing the Chargers to throw the football at will, a lot, because if they do that, then I think that this offensive line will break. And that's where you can really see the Patriots maybe handle this game pretty easily.
Yeah, and the Patriots defense has been good on third down this year. You get teams into third and long. They've been good in that situation. Let's talk a little bit, though, about the weapons with Quentin Johnson on the outside, big, deep threat. Keenan Allen, the old vet, savvy route runner. Yeah. And then finally, Lab McConkey, who's just, as we know, well aware of, just a nightmare in short space. Herbert's got a really good chemistry with these guys. You've seen Johnston really kind of develop. I think he had some drops early in his career, some inconsistency, but he's a big down-the-field threat. The question is, how do the Patriots match up? And we've been saying it all year. They've been playing a little bit more zone, but here we go. We get into the playoffs, three talented guys, and this is where I'm like, this is why you have Christian Gonzalez, who's a super athlete who can match up with guys. We talked about Carlton Davis, cat coverage. Marcus Jones has had an outstanding year, so I think the matchup looks pretty good, but I'm curious how the Patriots are going to play it.
Yeah, I think the biggest part that's difficult is that Keenan Allen and also Ladd McConkey run so many routes out of the slot, so it's not like they have like a pure outside number one receiver where you can just say, hey, Christian Gonzalez, you got Jamar Chase this week, or you got Justin Jefferson. Like, it's not like that with the Chargers because they funnel so much of it in the middle of the field, and then we also didn't mention Gadsden, the tight end. So like, there's a lot of different elements of it where I think Marcus Jones in the slot against Ladd McConkey is probably going to be the matchup for most of the day inside, and McConkey and Keenan Allen are kind of their chain movers. McConkey's a little bit more explosive and can hit you with big plays after the catch. So those guys being more inside receivers, McConkey runs about 63% of his routes from the slot. So that's probably more of a Marcus Jones assignment than it is a Christian Gonzalez assignment. I like Christian Gonzalez on Quentin Johnston. I think Quentin Johnston's more of a one-trick pony. He's going to get down the field, crossing routes, vertical routes on the outside. I like Gonzalez in that matchup, and then that kind of leaves two guys that I've circled all week, and it's kind of similar on the other side of the ball. It's Carlton Davis and Keenan Allen, two wily vets going up against each other, and it's however the Patriots want to handle Gadsden, which I think is a little bit of a difficult matchup for them. Pass catching tight end, receiver background. His dad was a wide receiver in the NFL. He played a little wide receiver in college before becoming a tight end, and I put that in air quotes because he's not really a tight end. He's more of like a big slot receiver. So how are the Patriots going to match up against him? Is it a four-corner game? Is it one of the safeties on him? They've had some trouble against those tight ends this year, Deuce. So that's one of those that it's sneaky. Like, it's
X
not,
factor.
Yeah, it's not McConkey, it's not Johnson, but it's one of the sneaky matchups in this game.
Yeah, let's also, just mention Omarion Hampton missed practice this Wednesday. We'll see what his issue is. If he's able to go, maybe he's a little bit limited. Let's flip it over to the other side of the ball, though. We've been talking a lot about, you've been saying all about Jesse Minter,
Yes.
this cover four match coverage that they run a lot of. They are primarily a zone team, though, and we talk about how Drake does against zone. It's also pretty good. I think he's second in the league in terms of success rate against zone defense. So, in my mind, I'm looking at, we love the running backs, how they've come on, and maybe that's the key, is really, if you can, it doesn't have to be explosive 50-yard touchdowns again, but if you're consistent in the run game, it's going to force them maybe to get a little bit out of what they like to do, maybe bring some guys in the box, or maybe, as you said, during the week against on Patriots Unfiltered, start to blitz a little bit. And we also know Drake Maye takes advantage of that. So I just think if he can be patient early, run the ball a little bit, maybe get them out of their comfort zone, maybe get a lead, I think that would be a good start for the Patriots. Yeah,
I mean, historically speaking, when you talk about zone defenses too, like, you always talk about play action, pulling those zone defenders out with the run actions, and linebackers, they got to play the run, they got to play the pass in zone scheme. So can you get those guys in blenders a little bit? So I think that that's an option. I look at this, Chargers defense though, and I see a quarters defense, the cover four quarters, whatever you want to call it, where they're matching a lot of coverage, in terms of routes. So I think that that's going to be the difficult part in this game is, the Chargers do it a little bit differently. I see them matching routes underneath more than over the top, but they can do it either way, where once those routes declare, it kind of becomes man-to-man at that point, and they're going to plaster or latch on to the receivers once you sort of see, is this receiver running underneath or is he running vertical? It kind of morphs. It's a hybrid coverage. So with that type of thing, I think, it's hard mentally as it is physically. Like, am I sitting? Am I running away? Like, how am I getting open against this specific type of coverage? I think is something that they have to communicate this week during practice and during the meetings of, when we see this look, when we see this scheme, like, how are we getting open against this type of look, and what's our answer? The other thing is you have to have a pressure plan against Jesse Minter, because every time I've watched a handful of their games, every time it feels like it's getting dicey for the defense, he's sending pressure. Like, that seems to be their backup plan, or their kind of, they kind of hold it close to the vest. They don't usually do it early in games. It's usually more in the second half. And they start bringing, especially nickel and outside corner pressure, like DBs blitzing Derwin James, things like that. So if it starts to get a little bit dicey for the Chargers defense, that's where he's going to start flipping the switch, and you're going to see cover zero, you're going to see zone blitzes, and that's when it starts to get a little bit chaotic.
Yeah, Tuli Tuipulotu, 60 quarterback pressures, leads the team with 13 sacks, wily veteran, Khalil Mack on the other
Yes.
side. There were 32 pressures, 5.5 sacks. So those two guys off the edge, certainly going to be a challenge for the Patriots tackles. Last thing I just want to bring up, Ev, is, how do you feel about this Patriots team coming into this game? It's largely a young team, not a lot of playoff experience. It's not what we're really used to around here. I mean, go back
Right.
to, I know 2021 maybe a little bit similar, but you've got such a mix of guys. You've got older guys like Hunter Henry who have been around for a while and haven't really had the playoff success, but you've got young guy like Drake Maye or, even Ramondre Stevenson getting back in the playoffs for just the second time. So, what do you see this team mentally that you've seen? We've been in the locker room all week. How do you feel like they're getting ready for this one?
I think they feel pretty good, but the main thing to me is how they start the game. And I think offensively specifically, and I'm going to put a little bit of this on Josh McDaniels, you got to get Drake Maye into a rhythm because I think he's going to be super amped and maybe a little bit antsy and a little bit nervous. And that's totally valid and fair, especially, playing this game in first playoff game in prime time. It's not just, the fact that they're kicking off at 1:00 on Sunday in his first playoff game. So I think that this is going to be a really big moment for a lot of these guys. And if I'm Josh McDaniels, I am just doing whatever I can to avoid going 3 and out on the first drive. Like, what can we do schematically? Can we get him outside the pocket? Can we, run some bootlegs? Can we run the football? Maybe, give him some easy, manufactured layups early on in this game, because he has had some issues that we've talked about in the past about being too amped up out of the gate, and then he's throwing high and he's just kind of juiced up. And I think what they need to do is figure out, all right, how are we going to get Drake Maye into this game? And how are we going to get him into a rhythm? Is it moving the pocket? Is it using his legs, letting him scramble or run around a little bit, maybe take a hit? Like something like that just kind of gets him to settle down is going to be really big, because this Chargers defense, they're in the top of the league in terms of 3 and outs. They're at the top of the league in terms of time of possession and possessing the football. And so all of a sudden you could sit there and the Patriots go 3 and out. The Chargers go on like a 12-play drive, and Drake May's just been sitting on the sideline for the entire first quarter. And I think that's what the Patriots want to avoid.
Yeah, maybe the experience of, not only Bills Sunday Night Football earlier in the season, Monday Night Football against the Giants, and then getting bumped up to Sunday Night Football again against the Ravens. Yeah. Maybe that national experience will help Drake a little bit. But what more do we have to say? It's Patriots, Chargers, the wild card round. Winner takes all. Winner goes on, loser goes home. 8:00 Sunday night. We'll see you then.